And it's April 16th, 2011. I'm Karen Perone talking with John Culshaw this time about the regional innovative users groups. You're very active with the Rocky Mountain group, correct?
Mm-hmm. I am.
And you want to talk a little bit about how that was formed or how the regional
Sure.
groups were?
So after I stepped down as chair of the IUG, it was about that time when many other libraries in Colorado made the decision to migrate to the innovative system for their own libraries. And there were lots of folks in our region who said, we really need to have a group locally to talk about innovative related things. So after some fits and starts, we finally created the Rocky Mountain Regional Innovative Users Group. And we spent a lot of time, we were not the first.
What areas does that cover?
Mainly Colorado and New Mexico.
Okay.
And Wyoming, after Wyoming joined the fold a little bit later, maybe 3 years ago. So it's really 3 states now. And we did have some folks from Utah come over a little bit, but it was primarily Colorado and New Mexico. We were not the first regional users group. There is a Mid-Atlantic regional group. There's a New England group. There's a group in New York. There are other groups scattered around the country. Those are some of the bigger ones when we started. But we thought that we really needed something in the Rocky Mountain region. And it's very different in the West because of distance. And, from Denver, it's 75 miles to Fort Collins. It's 400 miles to Albuquerque. So we wanted to create an organization that would work for us in our part of the country. And we looked at the structure of the different regional groups around the country and decided that we would form a regional group that collected no dues. And we didn't want to charge for any of our workshops at all. So the way that we did that was by asking the sponsor directors to provide some snacks. And we, of course, relied on the generosity of volunteers for presentations. And we had a very strong run for many years of offering 3 different workshops throughout the course of the year. So 3 different events.
Did they move around?
They moved around on the Front Range.
Mm-hmm.
So we did things, a lot of times we did it in Denver because it was very central in terms of bringing people in. We did an early experiment with providing videotaped versions of sessions on the RMR IUG website. And that was very successful. We tried to come up with a topic that lots of people would be interested in. So can you guess what topic it might have been?
No.
Create lists. So we videotaped a session on Create Lists because we thought it was something that many different libraries would be able to use in the course of their training. So we did that. We had a website where we posted lots of our things. And it's really been a vital group and a great way to build support among people in the region because not everyone can send their entire staff to the National IUG. But there is a way to create sort of a microcosm of that locally. And I think the Rocky Mountain Group is proof of that. I've been lucky enough to travel to some other regional groups during my time as chair of the IUG. I've given the keynote address at a couple of places, the Wisconsin-Illinois group, the Eastern Great Lakes group, and probably the most spectacular was giving the keynote to the Spanish IUG in Spain in 2005.
Now, how did you get invited to that?
I think Innovative had a small hand in that and thought that I would be a good speaker for the event. And they were trying to build their organization in Spain at the time. So they asked if I would come, and it was really an incredible experience to speak to a group. I gave my speech in English. There was a translator, and folks could wear a little device where they could listen to the translated version. So that's really a very different experience. But it was an amazing opportunity, and since I do speak Spanish fairly well, I was able to have conversations with folks. And I wasn't the only person there from the IUG. Brian Moore from San Diego State was also there to talk about something that they were doing with their InReach system, which is called Circuit. Thank you, Karen. Circuit, and was talking about InReach. So I believe that I talked about Webpack design is my recollection. I'm not really sure or maybe I talked about authentication, but of course I probably made it broader and talked about more IT topics. But it was a great experience to be able to go to Spain. I also went to the Southern California IUG to promote the IUG in Orange County when we were going to be in Anaheim. So that was a great opportunity. So I've been lucky to get to a lot of the different regional groups. But I think the regional groups are a really great way of providing training and education and offering those same elements of community locally that the IUG does for librarians nationally.
Now, along those lines, you also formed the Regional Roundtable.
I did.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
So the Regional Roundtable was something that we created. What conference did we start that at?
I can't remember.
Houston?
Could
Maybe?
be.
I really don't remember, but we thought that there were probably many different people who were attending the IUG who were also involved in their regional groups. So we came up with the concept of the Regional IUG Roundtable, and it was an opportunity to get the different leadership from all of the regional groups together to talk about the problems, the issues, the challenges that they were facing in their various users group. And not surprisingly, they were the same issues in many of the different groups. They had to do with money, they had to do with organization, and they had to do with sustainability. And it was all about, how do we pay to do this? Do you ask Innovative to come and give a presentation at your group? What do you do when the person who's chair leaves and goes to another job? How do you keep a group that's all volunteers going on a regular basis? So those were the types of things that we talked about. And I think the regional group has continued, the roundtable has continued at all of the IUGs since to give the regional leaders an opportunity to continue those discussions. So I think it's a great thing for the IUG to sponsor that for its regional groups. And when I was chair of the IUG the second time, for a long time, we had said one of the members at large would be responsible for the enhancements, somebody who's responsible for the clearinghouse. I established the practice of having one of the members at large responsible as liaison to the regional groups. And the IUG, the national IUG now is able to provide more services to the regional groups because of the Kipu support for the website. So it's possible to have your listserv hosted by the national IUG. And the idea was to have the regionals coordinator work with all of these various groups to help provide some of those services.
And we're glad that you set that up, because that's really helping out a lot.
Not to mention a way to get the IUG pens out there.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks.